Today I'll be taking you through an advanced lower body strengthening session. If you've done the beginner and intermediate sessions already, these are the same movements, just progressed even further for our advanced level. We'll be working rotation of the hips, lower body strength at end range and full ranges of motion. And we'll be using all three of our sticks today. So we're gonna start in the floor in our 90-90 position. And we'll be starting with the long sticks, but I'll show you a few regressions just in case you'll need them. So you can start in your 90-90 bolstered on some yoga blocks. So that front leg can be placed right on top of those yoga blocks, which makes that 90-90 position a little bit easier. The back block will go just underneath your hip, and the other yoga block will go just underneath that front knee. We can also modify our 90-90 position by being in a shin box position, closing up the angles of those rotations at the hips. We will be using both of our long sticks, but you can also regress to just using one short stick. I like to use it just on the outside of that front leg. So for the full progressed version, we're going to be starting in a 90-90. Try not to move your legs with your hands. We're going to try to get into this position without picking up and moving your leg. And we're going to just prime this 90-90 position. So we're going to prep the tissues to be in this deep rotated end range position. So with the right leg in front, sticks are going to be at 11 and 1 o'clock. We're going to drive those sticks into the floor, holding them at about shoulder height. We're going to start here at 40% tension. So we're driving the sticks into the floor, trying not to leak out in the rib cage to the right, pressing both knees into the floor. Make sure this right knee is right in front of the hip and not outside of it. Both knees are bent at 90 degrees. Check in to make sure that left knee is not too far behind or in front of the hip. And make sure those feet are nice and flexed. We've got a lot going on in our 90-90 position. Once we are settled and you've found the progression or regression that works best for you so that you can stack your rib cage on top of the hips and be nice and stable in this position, we're going to slowly pitch forward. So we're continuing to drive the sticks into the floor at 40% tension, but now we're also driving both knees into the floor at 40% tension. The sticks are going to lean forward with you as you pitch that chest forward. We're going to try not to round the spine here. Like I said, pitch forward, not down. The chest is driving forward, and then we're going to keep driving at 40% tension with the legs and the sticks to come on up. We're going to increase that tension, drive down, ramping up to 45 and then 50% tension with the legs and the arms as we do that again. Keep driving down at 50% of your max effort as we pitch forward. Feeling a stretch on the outer part of that right hip. Make sure that right hip is pulling back away from the right knee, and then keep driving down at 50 to come on up. Let's do that one more time. Slowly ramping up to 55 and 60% tension with the sticks and the legs as you maintain that tension, pressing down, pitch forward. Take a breath here. We're just stretching the front of that hip, prepping these tissues to work, and then slowly come back up. We're going to stay here. Keep that 60% tension, and we're going to start lifting the sticks and stabilizing this position. First, you're going to lift that left stick 1 inch off the floor and hold. If you're just holding one stick, just pretend to lift that inside stick. Bring that left stick down, and now drive that left stick into the floor at 60% again and lift the right stick. This one's a little harder to lift off, so we're going to have to use a little bit more of those hip tissues to stabilize the body as that right stick lifts. Find that 60% tension with the legs and lift both sticks. Hold for 3, 2, and now on your last count, we're going to rotate the torso towards 9 o'clock, and we're going to keep that left hip off the floor. So we're keeping that internal rotation of the left hip. Once you've rotated as far as you can to the left, bring those sticks down. So we're going to ramp back up to that 40% tension. If you're starting to cramp in the hips, it's okay, just come out of that position, shake it out a little bit, and then get right back in. So chest is rotated towards 11, 10, or even 9 o'clock while that left hip remains off the floor. We're going to drive down at 40% tension with those sticks. Keep those knees pressing down into the floor. We're going to increase that tension to 50%. Hold. Feel those abdominals and obliques start to work, and then increase to 60% tension. And then we're gonna lift the sticks again. Lift the left stick up and hold. Bring it down. Try not to let anything in the body move as you lift these sticks. Lift the right stick and hold. Keep driving those knees into the ground. Keep that torso nice and elongated. Bring that right stick down. Let's lift both sticks, increasing to 60% tension. And lift, hold. 5, 4, 3, 2. Now, instead of bringing those sticks down, we're going to come back center, up and over to that right side. Here's where the cramping really might begin on that left hip and obliques. Once you're there, bring those sticks down. So now the torso is rotating towards 1, 2 o'clock. I don't think even at this advanced level that anyone will rotate that torso all the way to 3, but if you can, really impressive. Okay, so we're at 40% tension. We're going to increase to 50 with those legs and sticks. See if that allows you to turn your torso a little bit further to the right, and then slowly increase to 60% tension. We're going to maintain that as we lift the left stick up and hold, and down, and lift the right stick up, hold. This is the hard one. Keep those tension in those legs and hips. Bring that right stick down. Keep that 60%. We're going to lift both sticks up and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold on to it as you come back center. Stay tall in the torso and bring those sticks down. So let's slowly come out of that position and switch sides. Once again, try not to pick up your legs with your arms just to move to the next 90-90 position. I'm going to adjust here. Adjust as needed. Go ahead and find your progression or regression as needed. Sticks are going to be at 11 and 1 o'clock. We're holding at about shoulder height here. And we're going to go through all of that again with the left leg in front. So we're driving those sticks down into the floor at 40% tension. Legs are driving into the floor at 40% tension, and we're going to pitch forward. Right? So we're lengthening that left leg, pulling the left hip away from that left knee. And then we're going to keep driving down at 40% to come on up. I'm going to show you from this angle. Slowly ramp up to 45 and 50% tension as we hold that 50% tension and pitch forward, stretching into that front hip. Make sure we're breathing and drive down to come back up. One more time, increasing from 55 to 60% tension with the sticks and the legs, and use that tension to pitch even further forward this time. Notice how I'm not rounding that spine. If you start to round the spine, then you know you've gone a little too far. So pull up out of it and try to pull that hip further away from that knee to lengthen that front leg. We're still at 60% tension, and then drive down to come back up. So let's maintain that 60% tension here. I'm going to switch this way. Let's try to lift the sticks and balance in this position. So we're going to lift the right stick up first. Hold. Keep that torso upright and down. Try to lift that left stick up. We're finding 60% tension down on that right side, including those hips and legs. Down, take a deep breath. Now we're going to try to lift both sticks up, maintaining stability in the torso and the hips. Maintain that 60% tension as we rotate the body towards 3 o'clock, 1, 2 o'clock. If we can get all the way to 3 o'clock, we're going to place those sticks down. Ease off on some of that tension, but we're going to ramp it right back up. So we're feeling a lot of hip tissues here working, and a lot of obliques as well. So if we're cramping in any of those areas, that's a good sign. The more you practice, the easier it's going to get. Just shake it out, punch it out, and then try to get back into that position. Okay, so let's drive those sticks and legs down at 40% tension. Breathing here. And we're going to increase to 50% tension. Driving the legs and the sticks into the ground. And increase to 60% tension. See if that allows you to get a little more rotation in the torso. Again, we're trying to turn that chest towards 3 o'clock, and then let's lift the right stick and hold. So I'm really feeling my right obliques trying to rotate my spine to the right. Bring that right stick down. Now let's lift the left stick and hold. I'm really feeling my left hip trying to drive that left knee into the ground here. And down. And let's lift both. Drive those legs into the ground at 60% tension. Hold. 3, 2, and 1. Now let's slowly come back center, and we're rotating all the way over to the left, going towards 11, 10, or even 9 o'clock. And then release some of that tension. Take a few breaths here. Once you get here, if you're able to rotate a little bit further, try to rotate just 1 millimeter more to the left. Let's start ramping up into 40% tension, driving those sticks into the ground at 40% and the legs. Slowly ramp up 45 up to 50% tension. And slowly ramping up 55 to 60% tension. We want those hips rotated. We want both knees on the floor, and we want that spine rotated on top of those hips. Maintain that 60% tension as we lift the left stick. Hold. 3, 2. I'm feeling my right side really cramp up here, the hips and the obliques. Bring that down. Now as we lift the right stick, really feeling that front hip, the tissues on the outside of that left leg really driving down to stabilize my spine here. Maintain that 60%. Lift both sticks up. Hold. And then we'll slowly come back center and release all of that tension. We're done with 90-90 or shin box or whichever progression you are using. Okay, so let's slowly come up to a standing position. Our hip tissue should be primed and ready to go. We're going to get into some stick slides, adding multi-force production on top of that. So we're going to start in our tall standing position. Sticks are going to be at 10 and 2 o'clock. Bottoms of the sticks angled towards you slightly. We're going to hold those sticks at chest height and drive those sticks into the ground. So now that we're standing, we're just going to feel how awake the hips and the lower back and those obliques are, and those lats as well from driving those sticks into the ground. So we're just going to find that tension in that standing position. Now maintain that tension as you lift the right leg up, and we're balancing on that left side. Low hip flexion here. Then we're going to open the door. The left hip is the hinge. The right hip is the door, and we're pressing the outside of that right foot into the right stick. Now we don't need to try to attach the knee to that stick. The knee will probably be slightly in front of that. So we're pressing that foot into the stick at 40% tension, and we're going to slide that leg up for 3. So this first rep, we're using that 40% tension, sliding that right knee to the right armpit, and then slide that leg down. Maintain length on that left hip and side. Increase that tension to 50%, both the sticks down into the ground and that right foot out into the stick as we slide up again. Right knee towards the right armpit. And slowly slide it back down. We're going to increase to 60 and hold that tension at 60%. Pushing out into the stick, pushing down into the floor, holding at the top. Let's go internal rotation with that right hip. We're going to drop that knee forward and in. And let's go into external rotation, trying to drop that knee behind the right leg. And then let's go back to internal. Again, we're still pushing out into that right stick with that right foot. We're still biasing that hip abduction, pushing out. So we are still using that tension out, even though we are also rotating that hip. Last one. And then slowly slide the right leg down. And then we get to switch sides. Release that tension. And then when you're ready, ramp it back up to that 40% tension again. Sticks are at 10 and 2 o'clock again. Lift that left leg, maintaining length on that right side. Push the left leg out into the left stick. Maintain that tension out as we slide up and down for 3. We're going to slide up at 40% tension. Left knee is going to the left armpit. And slide it down. Let's increase that tension to 50%. Both the sticks and that left leg pushing out into that left stick at 50%. Slide it back down. One more time, increasing to 60. Slide that leg up and hold. We'll rotate here, maintaining 60% tension. Drop the knee in for internal rotation. Try not to let that slide the leg down, right? We're still lifting and pushing out into that left stick with the left leg. Back to internal. Make sure that this does not influence the standing leg or the chest. The chest is going to face forward. The standing hip is going to remain still. Try not to let it happen the opposite way either, into that external rotation. One more time, internal, dropping that knee. Keep pushing out at 60%. Over to external and slowly slide that leg down. Okay, shake it out. So we're not done yet with these. We're going to do adduction. We're going to bias the adduction by pushing in on the stick. So I'll show you from this side. Same starting position, tall standing, sticks at 10 and 2. We're driving down at 40% tension. We're going to lift our right leg up, maintaining length on that left side. Now we're going to move the right leg behind the right stick and push in with that entire leg. So now we're adducting. Keep that 40% as we slide up. Knee towards the armpit, pushing in on that stick. Slide it back down. Increase that tension to 50%, pushing in on that stick and down with those sticks. Knee slides up towards the right armpit. And slowly slide it back down. And then we'll increase to 60% tension as we slide it back up. As we're adducting, we're going to feel a lot more obliques because that right side has got to try to fight to keep that stick open here. Let's drop into internal rotation. We're not going to be able to get as much. And over to external. And internal rotation, dropping that knee in. And external rotation, keep pushing in on that stick at 60% tension. Internal rotation. And external rotation. And then slide that leg down and rest. Great, let's do that on the left side. One more set. Tall standing, sticks at 10 and 2 o'clock. Drive down at 40% tension. Stay tall on that right side as the left leg lifts. Bring that leg behind the stick and push forward, adducting from the hip. Make sure that doesn't pull your chest and that supporting side with it. Keep driving down at 40% as you slide the leg up. Hold. And slide it down. Once we're here, slowly increase to 50% tension. Keep pushing forward as we slide it up. Push in on that stick. Slide it down. Let's increase to 60% tension, driving down with those sticks, pushing forward with that left leg as we slide it up. And let's go internal, external rotation. Drop that knee forward into internal and out into external. Last two. Internal, keep that 60% tension, and external. And one more time, internal and external, and slowly slide it down. All right, great. Release that tension. Take a second, catch your breath. And then we're going to move on to our single leg deadlift series. So we are working the hips, the posterior chain with this movement. We are going to add a helicopter on top of these moves today. So we are going to be rotating on that supporting leg. Not only that, we are going to be working on allowing the lower extremities to rotate, aka the knee. So we're allowing the knee to rotate and react to the hip and the foot. Okay, you'll see what I mean in just a minute. So we're tall standing, sticks are at 11 and 1 o'clock. We're holding them lower this time at sternum height. We're gonna drive down at 50% tension. And then we're gonna stand on the right leg. Left leg is gonna lift up in front. Okay, we're gonna find our single leg deadlift or single leg hip hinge. So the hips are gonna reach up and back, left leg is gonna reach up and back towards 6 o'clock, while the sticks lean forward towards 12 o'clock. We're gonna hold this position. Make sure that the back leg, we have the toes turned down to the floor. Make sure the spine is not overarched, right? We want the hands to be low and that rib cage to be pulled in. Energy in that back leg, softening that right knee. Make sure that the knee is not too far forward. We want a perpendicular line of that right shin with the floor. So we're really loading up that right hip. Now from this position, you're going to walk the left stick to 12 o'clock and you're going to move the right stick to 2 o'clock. Your body is going to turn to 1 o'clock and the leg is going to turn towards 7 o'clock. Now the right leg is already starting to rotate on its axis. The right hip is going to be internally rotating, but the foot is going to remain planted on the floor. So that's going to add some torque to the knee, which is exactly what we're going for in this movement. The knees don't always have to track over the toes, contrary to popular trainer belief. So now let's move that left stick towards 1 o'clock and the right stick towards 3 o'clock. And if you feel really good and solid in this position, let's turn the body towards 2 and the leg towards 8. So notice how my knee is rotating off of its axis as well, or it's staying on its axis, but it's rotating off center. It's not tracking over the toes. Now it's outside of the toes. And if we feel really good here, let's go one more time. I know we're holding this single leg deadlift for a long time, which is also the goal, really stressing that right hip, trying to turn that body towards 3 and the leg points to 9 o'clock here. And then let's slowly come back center, try to maintain that hip hinge position. And then let's stand up. Okay, so I felt a lot of work in my right hip, loading up that hip in the single leg deadlift, and my knee is feeling like it got a nice little stretch. Okay. So we're going to switch sides. Tall standing with sticks at 11 and 1, reaching that right leg up, and then find that single leg deadlift position. Right leg is reaching towards 6, sticks are reaching towards 12. Got perpendicular line of that shin, making sure I'm not overarched here. Right leg is straight, toes are not pointing out, they're pointing down. And once we feel really good here, let's move the right stick to 12, left stick to 10, body's going towards 11, and the leg is going towards 5 o'clock. We're training the ankle here and the foot. We're also training that internal rotation of the standing hip. And we're training some force production from rotation or the transverse plane. So that torque stores energy that we are able to use for force production and power. Let's move the right stick to 11 and the left stick to 9. Now the body's going to go towards 10 and the leg goes towards 4. And let's do that one more time. If you can, 8 and 10 o'clock with those sticks while we try to reach that body towards 9 and that leg towards 3 o'clock. Hold here. Keep that left foot planted. And then we're slowly going to walk those sticks back center and stand up from there. Now we're going to reverse it and go the opposite way. So I'm going to continue facing this way so I don't confuse you, but I'm going to be rotating away from you again by standing on that right leg. So left leg is coming up. We're going into our single leg hip hinge. Now I'm going to externally rotate the standing leg. So I'm going to rotate to the left counterclockwise or towards that right big toe. So you're going to move the right stick to 12 o'clock and the left stick to 10 o'clock. The body's going to go towards 11 and the leg towards 5 o'clock. Now we're going to move the right stick to 11, the left stick to 9, turn the body towards 10, and the leg across towards 4. Now the knee is rotating inside of the toes. Now we want to try to keep that arch lifted. So with that right foot, try to pinch the outside of that right foot towards the floor so that the ankle doesn't collapse too much. And then if we feel good enough to go 10 and 8 o'clock with those sticks, really crossing over with that left leg behind, hold here, check in with that right ankle, make sure we're not too collapsed. And then let's come back center and rest. All right, now we can switch sides. We're at 50% tension for all of these. All right, we're gonna stand on the left leg, lift the right leg, go into that single leg hip hinge. And then let's go left stick to 12, right stick to 2. We're rotating clockwise this time with the body towards that left big toe inside of that foot. If we feel good here, We're going to bring the left stick to 1, right stick to 3. Notice how my left ankle is not collapsing. If you feel that collapsing, then we've probably rotated to your limit. You're not going to go any further than that. And then if we can go one more step to the side. Really focus on crossing that right leg behind you as well. Try not to leave it behind. It should be opposite of where your body is facing. And then let's slowly come back center. And stand. Beautiful. All right, shake it out. Those are really, really difficult. So we'll have to come back and practice those often. Let's move on to some lunges. So again, with just like the 90-90s, these ones have a few regressions that we can do. We can grab the lunge with 2 sticks instead of 1, which we're going to do either from the bottom up or the top down. Additionally, you can use a block or something similar for underneath that back knee, just to elevate that back surface slightly to make that lunge a little bit easier to lift off of, especially if you're experiencing some knee pain. But the full progressed version, we're going to use 1 short stick. The left knee is going to be down and it's going to be the inside leg, so the wall is going to be to your left. Right leg is in front, lunge position. We're going to work some anti-rotation. So this first one's going to be easier. The next one's going to be more difficult. So let's press that stick out in front of you, and then we're going to drive it into the wall to your left, right? As we lift, as we drive, it's going to rotate the body towards the wall, which is going to help to stabilize this back leg. So we're going to increase to that tension to 70%, driving into the wall. Try not to lean on that stick. Maintaining that 70% tension, we're going to lift that bottom leg off the floor just an inch or 2 and hold. 3, 2, 1. Bring that bottom knee down. Release that tension. Let's do that 2 more times. Drive that stick into the wall at 70% tension. Make sure those left glutes are working to stabilize that left hip as we lift up and hold. 3, 2, 1. And bring that back knee down. Release that tension. And let's do that 1 more time. Driving the stick into the wall. Lift that back knee up. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Bring the back knee down. Now we're going to keep the stick driving into the wall, but we're going to switch legs. So now this stick is going to want to pull our body in the opposite direction, basically messing up our hip orientation. So now we're going to have to work that anti-rotation between the upper and the lower body. So go ahead and drive that stick into the wall. Right knee is down this time. Increase to 70% tension. Maintain that tension as you lift the right leg up and hold. 3, 2, 1. Bring that right knee down. Again, make sure you're not leaning on that stick. That's even more common on this side. We want to keep loading up this right leg and hip. Drive into the wall at 70% tension. Maintain that as you lift up and hold. 3, 2, 1. Bring that knee down. Take a breath. And then as you exhale, ramp up to 70% 1 more time. Maintain that as we lift up and hold. 3, 2, 1. Bring that knee down. All right, let's release the tension, and then we'll switch sides. So turn around. Left knee is going to be down, but it's going to be further away from the wall. The wall is on your right side. Right leg is out in front. We're going to drive that stick into the wall. Again, now we're doing the harder version on the left side. Squeeze those glutes. Drive the stick into the wall at 70% tension. Try not to lean on that stick as we lift up and hold. 3, 2, 1, and come back down. Ramp up to 70% tension again, and lift up, hold. 3, 2, 1. Slowly lower, take a breath. And let's do that 1 more time, ramping up tension, driving into the wall as we lift and hold for 3, 2, 1. Slowly come back down. Now keep that stick driving to the right as we switch legs. Now the right leg is down. It's on the inside. Ramp up that tension to 70%. And we're gonna lift up and hold. 3, 2, 1, and down. Ramp back up to 70% tension as we lift up and hold. 3, 2, 1. Come on down. Release that tension. Take a breath, and we're going to do that one more time. Driving into the wall at 70%. Lift up and hold. 3, 2, 1. And come on down. Release that tension. Woo, and come on up. Okay. So let's finish with a nice stretch. We're going to do our slap shot today. So we're going to grab one long stick. Woo, take a few breaths. And then we're going to set up. So we'll bring that stick behind the low back. Arms are going to be to the side with the palms facing forward. Wide stance with those toes pointed straight ahead. So we want those feet wider than shoulder width. We're going to shorten that stick and then lengthen that stick, pulling that stick apart as we hinge forward. Lengthening at 30%, soften those knees. We're going to bring the right side of the stick down and across the body without shifting the hips. So the hips are going to remain still while we bring that right side of the stick across. We're going to lengthen the stick again at 30% tension. Go ahead, shift to your right, bending that right knee, straightening the left, look up towards the ceiling, take a breath. And shift to the left. Lengthen that stick again, pull apart at 30% tension, shift to the right. This time, try to get a little deeper into those hips. Since we are working on the lower body today, I want to try to bend that right knee as much as possible. And shift to the left. Let's lengthen that stick one more time at 30%, driving the right hand down and the left hand up, pulling those hands away from each other. And hold. And shift to the left. Let's slowly come on out of that position, all the way up, and let's reverse sides. So we're going to shorten that stick, pushing those hands together, and then lengthen that stick at 30%. Hold that tension as we hinge and soften those knees. Let's reach the left side of the stick across the body. Try to keep those hips nice and still. And let's lengthen at 30% tension as we shift to the left. Driving that left hand down and the right hand away from it. Breathe. Shift to the right. Lengthen that stick again at 30% tension. Shift to the left and hold. And shift to the right. And let's do that one more time. Lengthen that stick. Shift to the left. Try to get a little deeper into those hips this time. And shift to the right. Slowly reverse that movement. Come on out of it and shake it out. Nice work today. I hope your lower body is feeling tired, but I hope you enjoyed this session and that the hip tissues are really, really ready to go and that you're feeling terrific tomorrow in that lower body. Thanks so much, and I will see you next time.